expense you incur. Somebody's familiar with that type of amen on that. So you can have degrees, but it's gonna come at a cost because they're gonna charge you incur. All right, there we go. Good. And let me lower this. Let me change these screens. So anyway, long story short, because she's in the field of education, for educators, they have something called deferment. And with deferments, what that means is you don't have to pay it. You can postpone your payments for as long as you want. Of course, they're going to charge me interest on that, but you don't pay. You don't have to pay anything. But so for her, she's been teaching for so many years in the field of education. And I'll put you up here so I can see you guys up there. I got this here. Okay, everything I need. Okay. I told you guys I needed 4 screens because I got so many different things going on all at one time. It's ridiculous. So long story short, she is in the field of education. She's been in there for many, many years now, and very good at what she does. One of the most unique individuals in the field of education I know. Brilliant. She's in meetings all the time with different important people in the field of education and so forth and so forth. So she's a really, really kind-hearted but smart woman. She's the liaison for many different projects or whatever. She's very humble too. She won't say it, but all in all, I'm very proud of her. And so she had been believing because we was planning on, paying it off, but her student loans because of, and this is just for her, it went into the 6 figures, high 6 figures, because when you do a deferment, you don't have to pay it, as long as you're in that field, but eventually, it is what it is. So long story short, the one thing that Biden did do well, which, not saying that was the only thing he did some things I liked, some things he didn't like, but I don't want to get into politics, people getting their feelings. So the point is that he did do something very good out the door. So at the end, she received a letter saying that all of her degrees that she have accomplished and achieved over all these years, she had been believing that it was going to be paid off anyway, which is why she kept it in the firm. She kept saying, "This God gonna pay it off. God gonna pay it off," and she truly believed it. And guess what happened? Right before Trump came into office, she received a letter, and 6 figures worth of educational debt has just been wiped out. So that was one of the other reasons why we were also celebrating. It was not only our 6-year anniversary, but basically her educational bills had just been wiped off the table. Completely gone. Completely gone. Okay. And we're not talking about a small amount. We're talking about, I think, of like over 200,000, something like that. Over $200,000, just like that. God did it. And she was shouting and screaming around the house. And, she praises God all the time. So she was shouting and screaming. I'm like, what is wrong with you, woman? Doing all that yelling and cackling. So I'm thinking, that it was something small. And then she said, God did it, God did it, God did it. And she had tears in her eyes. God did it for me. He did it for me. He did it for me. And so I just thought that was so beautiful. I told you she has such an intimate relationship with God. It's so beautiful. It helped me to start believing in God again when I had lost my faith. Just watching how beautiful their relationship is. Anyway, let's get to the charts. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Super Easy. If this is your first time, thank you for joining us today. A couple of rules. Number one, I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not trying to give you financial advice. We're just looking at the charts and trying to interpret what they're saying. And right now, these markets are really been in a very, very choppy situation. I'll really be glad when and again, I'm not trying to be into politics, so don't get on me, but I'll really be glad when this Trump turbulence stops, because it is completely interfering with the charts for many different markets. Also, you have NVIDIA coming out, which is what's going to impact the stock market very, very heavily today, especially if they come short on their earnings today. It's going to be very, very messed up for the stock market and for those who trade in that area, options market and so forth, and the futures market, blah, 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 blah. that's going to be a whole big old mess if they come short. Now, it's going to be a huge celebration if they actually met their quota for this quarter, fourth quarter earnings. Okay, so what happens is, and let me kind of explain this to you guys. Remember, I told you only in the Forex market do you get judged trade by trade. Okay, only in the Forex market. Okay, in the stock market and in the options market, or basically, let's just use the stock market as a whole. This is why when you look at the reports, they say QOQ. QOQ means, and you can write this in your notes, it means quarter over quarter. In other words, they only report what they've done every 3 months. Okay. So typically, if you have a company on the stock market, it's going to report 4 times a year. Hey, how are you, Tonya? And I know we have other people watching. Hey, you guys on YouTube. And welcome, of course, our Zoom members, people who zoomed in. So you're only going to report 4 times a year to your constituents or to your investors. That's how it works. So anybody who invested into Google, into NVIDIA, or any company, I don't care, which, by the way, if you work for a company and you have a 401k and IRA, guess what? You don't even know that you're part of that group, okay? So who's ever managing your 401k, whether it's Fidelity, BlackRock, or whoever is managing your 401ks and IRAs, basically you're part of the stock market. Okay, you just don't know it, but yeah, that's how they do it. How do you think your 401k is supposed to grow? So when you're paying into the 401k and IRA, they don't just sit it there in a piggy bank waiting on you. They actually invested into the stock market, which is why when there was a big old crash in the stock market in 2008, 2009, the stock market, anybody who had a portfolio there, they actually lost money. Okay. Hey, Donna. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Miss Donna. Okay. All right. There we go. Major goals. Hey, G. Good morning to you as well. So what happens is that your money is parked into the stock market for, whatever amount of time until you are ready to retire, and that's how they try to grow your 401ks and IRAs. It's not just sitting in the piggy bank waiting for you to retire. It's actually going into the stock market, into the S&P 500 or any other index fund that they think is safe to grow your portfolio. Of course, they take a chunk of that money out for quote unquote management services, but that's basically what they're doing. So when these companies do earnings reports, it will either impact your portfolio for the good or for the worse. Okay, for the good or for the worse. G, it would be great if you have questions, click on the Zoom link and then join my Zoom, and I can talk to you directly. Because with the copycat, it's not a course. It's actually you're just being copied on our trades. Okay. Good morning, crypto. Okay. Hi, you guys. I see you guys coming into the Zoom into the YouTube link as well. Yeah, so if you have a question, just click on the Zoom link in the description below, and then you'll be in the Zoom class if you have questions, but they're not courses. You're just getting copied on our trades, okay? So you set it up, and whatever trades we take, you get copied, okay? But we can talk more if you want to do it that way, all right? But anyway, let me get back on focus. So with what's going to happen today, and again, a lot of these are short-term hits, but what I'm trying to explain to you guys is that when you're personally trading in any markets, including Forex, they report every quarter. So they can have a bad week, they can have a bad few days, they can even have a bad 2 weeks, okay? But nobody really cares because in the stock market, the options market, which I did trade in those, I actually went to school for that. In those, nobody really cares because you only get each company, regardless of who it is, Apple, all of them are the same. They report every quarter, okay? Every quarter, every 3 months is the only time they have to do reports and say, here's what we did to grow. Tesla, every single company is the same, okay? It is only in the Forex market where there's more retail traders than business owners, where every trade is judged trade by trade. Well, let me rephrase that, because a lot of businesses, which you guys don't really realize, what makes it so big is because even these large companies, they actually are invested into the currency markets as well, such as your car industries. They invest into it because they have to know what the currencies is going to be, this and that. So everybody's investing into it, but nobody talks about it like the retail trader, because the retail trader is looking at every trade under a microscope saying, you better win this trade, you better win this trade. And it's no room like you do in the stock market to have an off week or off 2 weeks, or even if it's not your fault, which clearly, the markets are all over the place. And if you or anybody owned the company, I really can't blame you, because guess what? There's a huge disruption coming in. The markets are just all over the place. And it's nobody's fault, nobody to blame. It's just these tariffs. You got this, you got that, which, by the way, one of the things I used to like to trade for a minute, which I'm holding off on, is copper. Okay. A lot of people don't even trade copper. Okay. But I traded copper, but I'm holding off because guess what? There was just something just announced. They're putting tariffs on copper. Why? Because a lot of the companies were bringing their copper into the US, but there's unfair practices going on. So there's going to be tariffs on copper. So it's kind of like almost everything that's in a complete disruption right now. There is no stability because nobody knows what's going to happen. Because once you slap a tariff onto a company, onto a country, or basically saying, because some of you guys, you keep hearing tariff, tariff, tariff. What is that? Okay. What that means is, let's just say, and I can't even, I was going to say, let me just throw out a name. Okay. Let's just say my cousin JoJo and I are in business. Okay. And JoJo is supposed to bring 50 cupcakes in exchange for my 50 pork chops. Okay. I don't need pork chops. Well, let's just say, um, cookies, okay? 50 cupcakes for 50 cookies, all right? So it's supposed to be an even exchange. That's the way it's supposed to go. You bring me 50 cupcakes, I bring you, 50 cookies, okay? Or 50 hamburgers, whatever you want to call it. It's an even exchange so that we're rubbing each other's backs, because years ago when I was young, I used to work at Taco Bell, but right across the street was Jack in the Box, and right across the street from there was McDonald's. So all three of us were working on the same block. And by the way, when I was a teenager, my brother, I'm still on a little side note you may not know, but I was working at Taco Bell. And my boss was my boss. She was a female, a white lady, and she was my boss. And my brother started picking me up from work when it was late because I was still young. And my mother was very protective, so she said, "Okay, when he gets off work, go pick him up." My brother used to go pick me up, and then after that, after a little while, guess what? He met my boss, and they started dating. And so when he was supposed to be picking me up from work, he stopped picking me up from work and started picking her up from work. And guess what? They've been married for, I think, 38 years now. They met, and after 6 months of meeting, they got married. After 6 months, moved to Chicago. They met Oprah Winfrey and other people. He went into the military. He started traveling, and they have, my nieces, nephews, grandchildren. They have a whole fruitful family. But they did that after meeting for 6 months. After, so I always tell my brother, "Yeah, you're welcome, because if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be married." He married my boss. But the story was, how it worked was, you had Jack in the Box across the street from us, and you had McDonald's across the street from us. Sometimes you didn't want Taco Bell because you work there, you eat there all the time. So, and the same thing was, for each one. So what would happen is, sometimes somebody from McDonald's will say, "Hey, we want some Taco Bell." They say, "Okay, we'll bring you some Taco Bell if you bring us some McDonald's." See, I went to church and I heard this term. It's called a fair exchange is no robbery. I'll repeat that. Write that in your notes. I never forgot the term. That was years ago when I heard it. A fair exchange is no robbery. Okay, I'll say it again. A fair exchange is no robbery. You and I are supposed to be scratching each other's back. Okay, so if I send you over 4 tacos and you send me 4 hamburgers, we're cool, copacetic. Everybody's happy, no problems. Everybody with me so far on that? Everybody with me on that? If you get me so far, type a 10. I want to make sure you guys are getting this, okay? And let me do something real quick. Those tools, let me do that. Okay. All right. So you have four. I've got to check the time. Give me 1 second, you guys. I got to do something while I'm talking to you. I got to multitask today because, like I said, I got to get out of here today. So I may not be able to take questions and stuff, but I will look over charts with you guys. But I'm kind of explaining what's currently going on. Okay. So that's that. So when they were exchanging, or as you guys, a fair exchange is no robbery, or a simple way of saying it is uh, an even exchange. Okay, there was an even exchange. You give me this, you give me that. Or in legal terms, if you ever, because some people said I should have been a lawyer because I went against Honda Corporation and many other major organizations, and I did it without a lawyer, and I still won my cases even against them because I learned law. Okay, I learned law. And I'll do it just like that and wait. All right, so I'm good on there. So bottom line is they call it quid pro quo. Okay, quid pro quo, and I may be saying the incorrectly, but basically that's a legal term that says you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. Okay, even. So when you talk about that, there is there's this trade imbalance or a trade war because of this trade imbalance. And you keep hearing about China's ripping us off and Europe is ripping us off and this and that. What it's saying is, for an example, if you have a car in the US and you're a car manufacturer, in some of these countries, they don't even accept US vehicles, but they're able to ship their cars over here and sell them by the billions. Okay, wait a minute, something's wrong. Okay, that's kind of like I want McDonald's hamburgers and we'll exchange it for tacos. And you say, no, guess what? We don't want your tacos, but we can sell you our hamburgers, but we're not going to accept your tacos. But I'm like, hey, wait, what's going on? You want us to buy your hamburgers and still give you free tacos, but we have to buy your hamburgers. Hear me good. We have to buy your hamburgers, but you still want us to give you free tacos. Do y'all see where there's a problem here? Everybody getting this? I want to make sure that you guys are understanding. Now, again, this is just, all I'm doing today is explaining why there's so much imbalance going on, what this tariff war is all about. Okay. So if McDonald's, my friends across the street at McDonald's says, you know what? We got a new manager. He said he's not doing a quid pro quo. We're not doing a fair exchange. There's no robbery. We don't care about none of that. Guess what happens? The moment you want hamburgers, you're going to pay for it. Okay. But if we want tacos from you, you give it to us for free. I'm like, what kind of manager y'all got? What kind of foolery is this? And that's what's happening. So a lot of countries are not accepting US vehicles. They're not accepting this. Or if they do, they had, nobody talked about this. They had already had tariffs on our stuff. So what is a tariff? If you ship your cupcakes over here to this country, you have to pay a 25% tax before it even reaches the customer. You got to pay the federal government or their government. We call it federal government, but the Chinese government or whatever, or the Brazilian government or whatever, you have to pay tax to them to import your stuff to them into their country. But if they ship their stuff over here, we weren't charging them anything. We were just like, hey, we're all what? Partners. We're friends. Okay. We're trading partners. Okay. That don't make no sense. Wait a minute. Something ain't right here because we're truly trading partners. Then what's up with my partner? Why are you charging me a tax to ship my goods and services to your country, but you want to ship yours over here for free? And so that's what's causing the trade imbalance. And it's happening by multiple countries, which is causing us to lose billions and billions and billions in revenue. One of the other biggest problems is because we don't produce a lot here. So that's another reason why they were, quote unquote, ripping us off, because guess what? Y'all ain't got much over here that we want. Okay. So we'll ship our stuff that over here, y'all always buying. Y'all don't know how to save $1 worth nothing. So we're going to ship all our stuff over here to you. But for you, watch this, for you, the few things that you do ship to us, we're actually going to charge you a tax to get it over here to our country because we really don't want it in the first place. Okay. So do everybody understand how that doesn't make sense? And if you go along with this, where you're paying every time for the things you get, but you don't make no money on yours, can you see how you were trillions of dollars in debt? Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So financially, no, it really never made sense. It never really did. But what was, I'll tell you this, when you started making it more about the friendship, hold on one second. Give me a second. We'll go a little bit early on this. Let me see something here. Okay. Go here. Give me a second. Sorry, guys. I'm multitasking. Okay. All right. We'll see how that goes. So that is what's causing the great imbalance. This is why we're having this tariff war. And like I said, some things that the new president is doing, I completely understand why he's doing it. Some things I disagree with, such as I understand that we're trying to strip down the government, find out where the waste is happening. I get all that. But, bro, instead of just doing a blunt cut to employees, you should have given a 3-month, time frame to say, okay, here's what's going to happen to get people prepared. You're just coming in and just cutting people loose. And I get it. You're trying to get rid of the upper management who are mismanaging things. But hey, the upper management, I get it. They could have made better decisions, but that's not the fault of the people under them who's just showing up to work, trying to do their job to the best of their ability, being a loyal employee, coming to work, and they got kids, they got families, they got this and that going on. So don't do a blunt cut to them because it's really not their fault. You get what I'm saying? Type of amen if y'all understand that. So I understand what you're doing. You're trying to strip down the government. I get all that Doge stuff. Good. But it shouldn't have been a blunt cut like that because, again, you're affecting people who have nothing to do with what decisions upper management makes. They're just coming to work and trying to follow directions to avoid getting fired. So to penalize the lower people for the choices of the upper people, I don't agree with that. And I do understand you have to narrow down the government, but dwindle it down over a certain amount of time to give people a time to go find another job because they've been faithful. Y'all understand what I'm saying here? Okay. So why am I explaining all that? This is why we have been having turbulence in the markets, ladies and gentlemen. Oftentimes what happens is people think that you should never lose trades. You should always be winning trades. There should never be a situation where there should be a losing this, that, and the other. And I'm going to giving you guys a general overview of what you should know, because in the stock market, in the options market, and those arenas, this is common everyday knowledge. This is why they don't report earnings every week or every day. Every trade must be perfect, every this and that. They know that this is all encompassing. Everything works together hand in hand. One affects the other. It's only in the Forex market where people are not being taught this information so that they can get the global picture. And furthermore, those who are really doing well in the Forex market typically are the ones who looks at it from this macro perspective. And that's the reason why they take higher time frames first, because they say, okay, even if it does pullbacks, this and that, even if I have a bad week, eventually I know it's still going to go back in this direction, which is what I was explaining to you guys last week, which is why higher time frame perspectives is so healthy, because even if the trade goes against you temporarily, eventually, okay, here's where it's eventually got to go back. It's going to go back into the original trend sooner or later. It's just a matter of time. But in the retail space, in the Forex market, retail traders never see this. They look at every trade under a microscope, every trade. But like today, NVIDIA is reporting their, watch this, fourth quarter earnings, even though it's the new year. What's up with that? Because fourth quarter means the quarter was ended last year. Yeah, but they schedule it out and say, okay, we're reporting the fourth quarter earnings, meaning what we did last year, the last month of the year. Here's what we did for the last 3 months of 2024. They're just reporting it today. So you see how there's a lag to give space, to give time. And this is why people who deal in the stock market tend to do better, because the stock market requires you to have patience. Okay? It requires you to have patience. It is part of it. Going back to what I originally said, even if you were a person who trades, I'm sorry, that's 6 minutes. Even if you're a person who trades, who has a 401k and IRA, guess how many times you look at your 401k and IRA, which is tied to the stock market? You never look at it. You see, so it's just inherent in nature that in that arena, patience is required. But over here, nobody cares about patience. Everybody needs it now. Every trade better be a winner. What's going on here? Nobody takes a look and says, okay, let me look at the market as a whole. So if you personally trading or whatever, it doesn't matter. The fact is, look at all the turbulence that's going on in the global markets, and the global markets is what's impacting the currency markets as well. Everybody doesn't know what to do. Let's go a step further. You also have the war of finances, because of course I told you guys, and I told you guys that it was real about the BRICS, BRIC, BRICS, Britain, Russia, India, and China. Okay, that's what BRICS stand for. Britain, I think it's Britain, Great Britain. Somebody who knows about BRICS, I think it was Britain, Russia, India, and China. The B, I don't remember exactly, but I do know Brazil. Okay, Brazil. Thanks, Garrett. Thank you, guys. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. You guys see? Smart people, smart people. So it was Brazil, Russia, India, and China. That's where the word BRICS came from. And I think the S is South Korea or something like that. Okay. Either way it goes, what the countries were trying to do, and I'm just giving you guys a macro perspective because, again, I got to get out of here in just a few minutes. I have 2 doctor appointments today, and I can't miss them. But South Africa, yeah, there you go. All right, so let's put Russia, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and Saudi Arabia or South Africa. Okay, either way it goes, let me give it to you guys like this. Basically, what's happening is you have all these individual countries saying, okay, you know what? Let's go ahead and knock the dollar off as king. And I have been telling you guys for a very long time that the moment the dollar is no longer the reigning king of the world, guess what is going to happen? We instantly go into a third world country. Instantly, overnight. Instantly, you're broke. You think you're broke now, imagine being a third world country overnight. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Okay? Overnight, you're going to be a third world country. Because the only thing that kept us going as a strong country is that we are what they call the world reserve currency. World reserve currency means that everybody all around the world, in order to interact with each other, we have to have one neutral currency to use. What is going to be the neutral currency? The US dollar. Now, watch this because it's going to go a step further. Make sure you're hearing everything I say. I'm not no preacher man. I ain't no prophet or nothing. I'm just pay attention. That's all I do. I just pay attention and try to connect dots. I'm not into conspiracy theory and this. I ain't into none of that foolishness. I just pay attention. Some of this stuff is just so obvious. It's right there. You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist. You just pay attention. It's right there. Okay? Right there in your face. Pay attention. Pay attention. That's all you got to do. Pay attention. All right. So watch this. So basically, because this is another currency war that's causing the markets to be imbalanced. So when Trump came in and he said, any country who tries to knock the dollar off as king, we're going to put 100% tariffs on your money. On any imports you do, we're going to put 100% tariffs. In other words, tariffs is a tax. You bring anything into our country, we're going to charge you 100% tax on it. Imagine that. If you are one of these countries, part of the BRICS nation, which, by the way, BRICS was those few BRICS, 5, but there was many more, such as Mexico and others, who actually had signed on to the agreement. We were literally on the doorstep of destruction. Literally. And I had told y'all about this. Nobody cared to hear what I had to say. It wasn't no conspiracy. So some of this stuff ain't conspiracy. It was true. Now you find out it was true. It was the truth. Yeah. So we were literally on the doorsteps of destruction because there was nobody, and I'm just saying in general, there was nobody pushing against what they were doing. So they was like, this is a great opportunity for us to bond together. Okay. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. So the enemies started creating partnerships saying, okay, let's create our own currency outside of the US. And therefore, if we come together like booty cheeks and we don't like each other, but we have a common enemy called the US. If we can knock the US off, guess what? All these other countries, Saudi Arabia, all these enemy countries, guess what? Now they don't have no defender because the US is the defender of the world. Let's knock them out financially, make them broke as a joke. Then we can attack the US, we can attack Taiwan, we can attack Ukraine, we can attack anybody we want. And the whole main defender of the world can't do a darn thing about it, called the US. Why? Because we knocked off their currency. And the moment we do that, we turn them into a third world country. They can't even afford to buy bread. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Type of 25 in the box. Are you hearing what I'm telling you? Come on. Type. This is truth. It wasn't a conspiracy. And this is why I don't like talking about this stuff, because you can tell somebody the truth and they still just instantly say, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. I'm not into that foolishness. This was very real. Okay? We were on the brinks of collapse and we weren't doing anything about the exchange. Remember what I told you? McDonald's said, we don't give you free hamburgers. We're going to charge you for our hamburgers while you give us your tacos for free. So we had that going on. And on top of that, McDonald's said, hey, guess what? Jack in the Box, I know you guys were doing a fair exchange. Why don't you do business with me? And we come against the Taco Bell guy across the street. Okay. And let's knock him off the block. And now it'll just be you and I. And now we ain't got no competition because Jack in the Box, you sell tacos too, don't you? Jack in the Box say, yeah, we do. So why don't we knock off Taco Bell guy off the street and then it just be hamburgers and tacos? It's just be me and you. Even though Taco Bell was the friendly guy saying, hey, I'll give you free food if you give me free food. I'm trying to be the friendly guy. I'm trying to be liked by everybody. We're partners. We're friends. And meanwhile, our friends was backstabbing and coming up with plans to knock us off the block the whole time. And we're trying to support them and we're sending them billions of dollars. We're going trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars into debt, trillions and trillions and trillions into debt. And we're still calling them our friends, our trading partners. How can it be trading partners when you're charging me for everything I get from you, but you expect me to give you everything I got for free? Come on, that don't make no dang on sense. Can somebody type an amen to that? It makes no sense. That was stupidity. You're not my friend. You know they're creating bricks and you still call them our trading partners and my friend. When there was a defense situation, you pay most of the money, even though it's not your fight. How is that your friend? Oh, this is good stuff. And I'm talking to you today because I got to get out of here in just a few minutes. I'm just giving you guys a perspective as to why I got the GU chart right here. Notice this thing ain't budged hardly a bit since we've been talking. It's because the markets are in a great imbalance. The entire markets all over the world are in a great imbalance because for the first time, somebody is saying, you know what, I ain't putting up with this foolishness. You keep calling yourself my friend. Nigga, you ain't my friend. How you gonna do me like this and you calling yourself my friend? When you gonna be my friend? Bro, you better come up with it. Get your weight up, partner, because I ain't putting up with your foolishness. And they're like, what? We've been doing this for over 30 years. Yeah, that's the problem. You've been getting away with this foolish for 30 years. You've been ripping me off, calling yourself my friend. You trying to backstab me with Jack in the Box across the street, and I'm still blessing you, and you still trying to find a way to knock me off the street? How was we supposed to be friends? Man, you ain't my friend, bro. And it's kind of like a wake up to say, you know what? There's some tomfoolery going on, and I ain't putting up with it no more. Have you ever been in a situation where you said, you know what? Damn that, I'm done, bro. I'm putting my foot down as of today. Have you ever been in that situation? Type of 25 if you have. You said, you know what? I've been getting myself, allowing myself to get played, but I will do it no more. And you say, you know what? Doggone all that. I thought we were friends, but I see, how is this friends? Where's the friendship? Where's the love? Y'all get what I'm saying here? Now, do I agree with everything that's going on? No, I don't agree with everything, but I'm just telling you from the financial perspective, this is why the markets are in a great imbalance. So if you're losing trades or if something's going on that's abnormal, you be like, do I need to trade strategies differently or this and that? Don't change your strategies. Don't worry about it. This is just something that has nothing to do with you. There's kind of like, there's a big fight on your block now. Okay. And so for you, you just seeing you getting the dust from the fallout, okay? Because it's a whole lot of furniture getting moved around up in this room. That's what you say when you're fighting, bro, we about to have some furniture moving up in this room. Okay, that's how you say it in the hood, bro. We about to have some furniture moving up in this room, dog. Okay? We about to have some furniture moving up in this room. That means about to fight. Okay. So anybody in that room, you're gonna be impacted by the rumble. This is what's going on in the markets. The markets are like, oh my God, what is going on? We haven't seen this in 20 or 30 years. Exactly. And it's not just one fight, it's fights breaking out everywhere on all fronts, imports, this, that, jobs, blah, blah, blah. So therefore, the whole market is crazy right now. Y'all understand how I'm trying to connect the dots to help the retail trader understand this is common knowledge in the stock market, but in the retail space, people are like, oh my God, I don't understand what the freaking heck is going on, man. Every trade should be a winner. What's going on? What are you doing? What's going on? It's nothing personal. Let me close this out. And close you out. And close you out. And close you. And I'm done for that. All right, cool. Okay. So I'm just explaining to you guys so that if you're in the turbulence or whatever, you just go, oh, okay, I get it. I get it. Makes sense. Okay, makes sense. Okay. So, like I said, you can see right here, this is GBP USD. How far has this thing moved since we've been talking? We've been in class 36 minutes and this has barely even moved. Why? It doesn't know what to do. The whole market is like that. So, what am I teaching you? Calm your butt down, relax, chill out. It's nothing personal. Don't jump. If you had a strategy that was working, don't jump your strategy. Don't worry about all that. Chillax. It's going to be good because once the dust settles, as it always does, it's like a storm that comes through. Guess what happens? Last year, everybody was talking about Hurricane Milton, which did a whole lot of damage. But guess what? Nobody's talking about Hurricane Milton right now. Why? Because Hurricane Milton is done. See, it's done. And when it passes, the storm clears, and then you go back to normal. It's nothing personal. I think what happens is that you're required to have some level of education in the financial world when you're trading in the stock market and when you're trading in the options market. But when you come into the Forex market, the only thing you know is looking for patterns. Okay, patterns. That's all you know. That's all you know. Strategy and patterns. And this is why sometimes I will stop and tell you when the strategy and patterns are not working, let me tell you why they may not be working so that you don't sit up there and I don't know where this term came from, probably have to look it up in etymology, find out that study of words, which means throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I don't know why they came up with that term, but basically that's what you do. When you start losing a couple of trades, you throw the baby out with the bathwater. You just throw everything out and say, oh, I got to scrap this and I got to start all over. No, you don't. It's just take a step back and say, okay, what is actually globally happening? And therefore, if it's actually globally causing conflict all over the world, which is striking up every country all over the world, our trading, quote unquote, trading partners, we had a bunch of them. So it's not just with McDonald's and Jack in the Box. You're talking about everything. Indian food, okay? Chinese food, McDonald's, Jack in the Box, all of these companies, we've had our so-called, I'll give you my tacos in exchange for your Chinese food. I'll give you my tacos in exchange for your Asian food. I'll give you my tacos in exchange for your Indian food and this and that. And all of them were plotting to get me off the block. And now I'm pissed. So all of y'all, I'm finna go after all of y'all. I'm what they call cleaning house. Cleaning up house. Man, I ain't playing all this no more. And I'm going down the line. Each one of y'all who did me wrong, each one of y'all. And I think the only one who they said did us fair is Australia. That's the only country. Australia. AUD. That's the only one that I believe is not in the crosshairs of saying, you know what, I'm enough of this foolishness. Now, do I agree with everything? I don't. I'm just giving you guys a general overview of what a tariff is. A tariff says, okay, you want to charge me McDonald's, you want to charge me, watch this. If I send you free tacos, I still got to pay you at least $1 on every burger you get. So I'm like, okay, you know what? No more free tacos, partner. You charge me $1 for your burger, I'm gonna charge you $1.50 for my tacos. Partner, how you like that? You charge me, I charge you. A fair exchange is no robbery. Now we have what? Trade balance. Trade balance. Let me give you a term. Write this in your notes. And again, I'm just spitting game to you guys, and I'm gonna leave in 5 minutes. I'm just spitting knowledge that is commonplace in the stock market to you guys, because I know nobody ever teaches this information to you guys. Nobody. You go over anybody's video, nobody ever talks about it. Because most of the time, nobody in the Forex world want to hear about it anyway. But since you guys are wise enough to show up, I'm sharing information with you to give you a deeper understanding so that when you hit these turbulent times, the OGs who trade Forex for a long time, this is why you notice they don't be tripping. You don't hear a word from them. They don't cry about it. They don't be tripping. They just like, all right, it's cool. It's all good. Because they know eventually it's going to balance out and everything will resume and they go back to whatever. Okay. So they're just like, okay, they just fighting, whatever. It'll clear up. Okay. Yeah, no big deal. No big deal. It's newbies who don't know. And when this hits you, it's kind of like, dang, what is going on, man? God don't like me or something, blah, 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 blah. And they just go off, go off, go off. And they think it's something wrong with something that they did. And the truth, it had nothing to do with what you did. You're fine. It's just a dust up. It's a fight going on your block. It's a gang war going on your block. And you know, stay in the house. Don't come out right now. You come out, you're going to get shot. Okay? Everybody understand what I'm telling you here. So there's a currency war going on. So those countries who are trying to knock out the dollar, all of them, they are now facing a currency choice. You can continue with your bricks, but anybody who joins up in that clique, I'm going to charge you 100% tariff. So whatever you bring over here, we're going to charge you. If you want, watch this. For an example, you want $2 for your hamburger, you're going to have to pay first before you even bring it across the street. You better bring $2 extra because we're going to charge you $2 tax before you get to sell it. So basically, it's like you're going to give it to me for free, partner. I'm charging you 100%. Enough of your foolishness, bro. You trying to kick me off the block? All right, cool. You're going to pay me out the door. Anything you bring up over here, pay 100% of what you're trying to charge. 100% tariff. You want 30,000 per car? Pay 30,000 per tax on top of that, partner. Now, people will say, "Oh, but Uncle P," and I get it, and there's some truth to that. But Uncle P, Uncle P, Uncle P. The problem is that who's gonna pay for it? The people gonna pay for it. You got some truth there. There's actually some truth to that. You're absolutely right. Because what's going to happen is anybody who get tariffs on their stuff or additional taxes to import their goods and services into our country, if they have to pay taxes, all they're going to typically do is do what? Raise their prices. And who's going to have to pay for that? The consumer. The consumer. Who's the consumer? Us. Unless, and here's how the game works. Unless I make a choice that now your stuff, Sony, and what's this TV? I'm trying to think of different brands. Sony or Mitsubishi or whatever. Okay. Mercedes-Benz, which is German vehicles, Jaguars and all this stuff. Guess what? After a while, okay, hold on. if you have to increase your prices beyond what I think your car is worth, but I still need to buy a car, will I buy European vehicles or will I start buying vehicles made here at home? Because you used to be cheaper, but now your price is so outrageous, I don't even want it. Everybody get that? Type of 55 if you get that. Okay. Type of 55. Quick, I gotta get it. I gotta go. I gotta go. By you raising your prices astronomically, I begin to see that your car or whatever your product is, your cupcakes, it ain't even worth what you charging, partner. Because I got somebody here in the US who's selling the same stuff. May not be with your name on it, but it's still the same thing. And I can get it for half the price if I just buy it domestically. Domestically, I can save money and still get me a new car. So what happens is you who's shipping your stuff over here, you shipping a whole lot of stuff over here, paying higher prices and tariffs and tax upfront payment. You got before it land on my land, you got to pay them tax. You feel me, dog? You're gonna pay that tax. But problem is by the time it comes off that boat, don't nobody want to buy it. So now you begin to lose revenue. You had to pay me first before it came up off that boat, just like y'all doing to us. And then when it landed here, you had to raise your prices high until don't nobody want to buy it. So guess what? You gotta take that crap on back. Don't nobody want it over here. And now the companies over here who are making their goods and services here in the US, because we don't have to ship it and pay a importation tax, guess what? It's cheaper. So guess what? I was thinking about buying this, but I'd rather buy it. This one, it's actually the same car. It's the same thing. I've been telling people for the longest about the shoe game because my sons and I got people in the shoe game. And, you can resell shoes. They got a whole flip game on shoes. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know. My son, I went down for Christmas and my son had bought me some brand new shoes, some Nikes, and he said, but these are very unique and this and that. Do you know they still in the box in the garage? He said, man, no, just hold on to them because it's a shoe world and you can actually resell them for 5 times the amount. He told me all that. I ain't even putting them shoes on my feet yet. I'm like, I don't need to wear. I already got 500 pairs of shoes. I don't need to wear. I'm going to be in the flip game of shoes. You feel me? So, so I'm going to get educated, just getting educated. All right. But here's the point. Point is, what it does is just simply saying, let's be fair to each other. If you're going to be my trading partner, you're charging me tariffs all the time. You've been doing it. Nobody said a single word about it. So now that we're doing it to other countries, it's saying, like, oh, you starting problems. But no, you've been doing this to us. Nobody said a single word about it. Nobody bothers you about it. It was normal. And I was taking this abusive relationship until I said I had enough. And that's where we are. We had enough of this. We're trillions of dollars in debt. Nobody's going to be able to get out of this debt. There was no plan to get out. So eventually, the only reason, again, going back to what I originally said, the only reason the United States has not collapsed already, even though it should have, is because of one thing that was saving our butts. And that was the dollar is still the global currency. But what they were trying to do is say, okay, they have nothing left except for their global currency. So let's take their currency out. And guess what? Babylon the Great has fallen. Babylon the Great, that's for those who read the Bible. The whole world was in mourn because Babylon the Great had fallen. Everybody was doing business with Babylon the Great that had fallen. You could say that it was America. Everybody does business with America, but America wasn't doing business with everybody. Because we were so busy worried about being friends with everybody until we didn't pay attention to what was really going on. I hope this is helping somebody here. There's not really much to talk about with the charts because, as I said, we've been talking this whole time and look at what GU has done. Absolutely nowhere. Hasn't went anywhere. Could be because it's waiting for NVIDIA. The market's going to shake up one way or the other. I don't know, but this is why. There's nothing really to talk about. The markets is not acting normal. I have not done anything on this chart since we began class 49 minutes ago. Have you seen any big movement on GU with your own eyes? This is a live chart. You can watch this right here. It hasn't done anything worthwhile. That's exactly my point. It doesn't even know what to do. So if you have lost a couple of trades over the last couple of weeks since this new presidency have come in, and I'm not for or against it, I'm just sharing with you knowledge of what is going on. We just have to wait for the storm to pass, and then we'll go back to normal. Again, this is why in the stock market, they only report earnings every quarter, not every week, not every trade, not every day, because they take into consideration that there's going to be things happening throughout the month that will not be their fault. So don't blame themselves. So they only report the earnings at the end of every quarter. Okay. Even with some investors, they only send them out quarterly reports, 4 reports a year, not every week, not every day, every quarter, so that they have time to absorb and rebalance themselves every quarter to balance back out and get back to profit. Because some of this, it has nothing to do with them. We're in a global war right now. Global war, fighting for the survival of the United States. I'm just being honest. And again, I'm not into politics, so I'm not trying to say, oh, well, I'm a Democrat. I didn't care whether it was a Democrat who woke up and said, okay, enough foolishness. I told you guys a long time ago, we just need somebody who understands finances. Anybody could have did it. It didn't matter whether it was Democrat or Republican. So I'm not a Trump fan. So don't blame, don't take it. See, that's where your mind gets messed up, because you're so into your politics until you're not paying attention to what's going on with your money. Everything got to be filtered through the rose glasses of your politics. See, I'm free of all that. So I can just look at the world for what it is. Because when we went to school for stock market class, told you guys I paid $25,000 one time to go to stock market class. $25,000. Not one time did they talk about politics, because it wasn't about politics. They force you to look at what's going on globally. So your perspective is neutral. Any party could have done this a long time ago. We never should have been in $34 trillion worth of debt, or whatever the number is. It's astronomical. And then you remove the dollar is king and you have 34 trillion. Let me give you all like this. And I gotta, oh God, Jesus, I gotta go. Let me give it to y'all like this. I remember when I had my fall from grace, long before I knew anything about the Forex market. This is why anybody who come turning, oh, he's a scammer, kiss my behind. I don't care nothing about whatever. Because I was rich well before I even heard anything about the Forex market. Okay, I was doing good. My net worth for all the properties I owned in different parts of the country, I was a multimillionaire before 2008, 2009. And I was still in my 20s. I had enough knowledge. I went to school and had enough knowledge on how to come up, but I didn't have enough knowledge, which is what I'm trying to help you guys with when turbulence time happened, how to manage it, managing the storms. And nobody was there. I didn't have a mentor. Everything I had to do was self-taught, in a sense. Even when you go to real estate school, they teach you how to be a good real estate agent, not an investor. I went to learn what real estate agents are supposed to do. So if I ever have to deal with them, I will know what they know. So I actually had 2 real estate licenses in 2 different parts of the country. I retained 2 of them at the same time. I never sold a piece of real estate to anybody because I didn't go for that. I just needed the knowledge, so they wouldn't rip me off if I ever had to deal with a real estate agent. Because as soon as they start talking foolishness, I say, I actually have a license in the state. I know this is the law. Don't try to play me. That's why I did it. But I didn't have enough knowledge of markets, how to handle the turbulence. And I remember my fall from grace was so hard. By the time everything was stripped from me and I had absolutely nothing, nothing. And I told you guys the sheriff showed up to my door at my 7,000 square foot house and told me and my child we had 1 week to move. Could they come in and take over the house? And God kept saying, no, they're not going to take the house. I said, God, they already said. And the sheriff showed up at my door. Never forget that experience. And while all of this was going on, I had lost everything and I still had $1 million worth of debt on my credit report. And I couldn't even file bankruptcy for it. So you tell me who I depend on. I've always depended on God Almighty. Nobody can get you out of situations like that. My wife just got forgiven over $250,000 worth of financial debt. Just like that, forgiven, gone. Nobody but the Lord God Almighty does that. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? I don't depend on people. I depend on the Lord God Almighty. I had $1 million on my credit report. Some of y'all crying over that $5,000. You have no clue, no idea. You would kill yourself with $1 million on your credit report. And I had to live with all of that going on. It forces you to look at things differently. And let me leave you with a tip before I go. If this is helpful, type a 100 in the box, and I'll say this, and then I got to bounce. If this is helpful, let me know. I know y'all don't get taught this stuff. I'm about to tell y'all this stuff. Let me share this last tip with y'all, and I'm going. During that strifeful time, and I know this doesn't have anything to do with the markets, but again, look at what's going on right here. I'm going to show y'all this. It hasn't even moved outside of this range. This whole time we've been talking. Hasn't even budged. See, right here. Make it bigger. See, this little range right here hasn't even budged this whole time. We've been yakking, bumping our gums, or I've been bumping my gums. Hasn't moved one bit. Hasn't moved. That's what I said. Why go over all the charts and this and that? What's going on with strength? None of it's going to really matter right now because it's waiting on something. And until that, whatever it is, happen, talking about strategy, you're just wasting your time today. It's just what it is. You don't force it. Don't force it. Don't force it. So let me leave you guys with this. So I had learned the concept of tangible right. Get something to write with because I got to go. I got 4 minutes and I'm gonna give y'all this and I'm out. Get something to write with really, really quick, just in case this ever happens to you. You'll understand how to relax when God says, "Don't worry about it." Be like, "God, he said, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It ain't that big of a deal." Yes, it is. He said, "No, it ain't. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it." I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. It is a big deal. No, it ain't. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Relax. Calm down. Calm down. I got you. Write this term down, these two terms, tangible and non-tangible. Write this down just in case you ever need this. Tangible, non-tangible. Okay? Tangible, non-tangible. You go to the hospital for emergency. And I'm not trying to give you financial advice, so don't nobody say that. I'm just telling you what I've learned. Okay? You go to the hospital, and the hospital says, they have to, under the law, they have to save your life. Okay? So let's just say they do emergency surgery on you, and you're fine. You leave the hospital, and you couldn't pay the debt. The ambulance came and picked you up. The emergency room fixed you up. They sent you home with some medication, and now you're at home. But you were broke. But they repaired your broken leg. Let's just say your broken leg. They repaired your broken leg, and that's that. But you don't have insurance. I ain't telling you what to do. No, I'm about to say Uncle P said I ain't got to pay y'all. No, I ain't say all that. I'm just telling you what I learned about when you're in bad situations, what to prioritize. So you got hospital bills sitting over here. Then you over here, you're barely making rent. So you are paying your rent. You're keeping the lights on, but then you didn't pay your cell phone, okay? And you didn't pay your car note. Anything that you can physically touch with your hand is called tangible assets. Okay, tangible means touchable. So with the word tangible, put touchable. Tangible, touchable. Tangible, touchable. Okay, if you can touch it, it's tangible. Touch it, it's tangible. I can touch my cell phone, it's tangible. Tangible asset, touchable. Your car, you can put your finger on it. So guess what? It's a tangible asset. Your house or where you're paying your rent, you can put your finger on it, touch it with your hand. It's tangible. When you left the hospital, can they repossess your leg that was broke because you didn't pay it? Yes or no? Are they going to come out and repossess your leg? Come on, quick. I got to go. I got to go. Can they repossess your leg? Yes or no? I see Les says no. Anybody else? Can they? No, they can't. Non tangible. They can't touch my leg. Once I left that hospital, even if I don't pay, they can't touch my leg. Okay. The cell phone, if I don't pay the bill, I still can keep my phone because they can't come get the phone. They can cut the service off, but I still have the phone. Okay. They can't come touch it. They can't repossess it. They can't repossess my leg and they can't repossess my phone. But they can repossess my touchable car and they can repossess my touchable home. Okay. And the cell phone probably wasn't a good example, but your leg, you get it. Okay. Broken arm, broken leg. They can't repossess my leg. They can't repossess my arm. The only thing they can do is do what? One thing. Put it on your credit report. That's it. There's nothing they can take about. There's nothing they can take. They can't take it. They can only report it, saying you didn't pay them. Now, should you pay them? Yeah, you should pay anybody you owe to. But if you had to prioritize who to pay first, you always want to pay the tangible assets, your car and the roof over your head. Touchable. Touchable assets. Everybody understand what I'm saying? So when God was saying, don't worry about it, he was looking at, okay, the one thing you do need to pay attention to is the one roof over your head. The other roofs, don't worry about it because all they're going to do is put on your credit report. And after several years, it drops off anyway. And it's like you're a brand new baby every 7 to 8 years, maybe pushed out to 10 now. I don't know, but yeah, doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. And so God has this nonchalant attitude about things. And the reason why is because he sees the bigger picture. He knows it's not worth worrying about. Let's pay attention to the tangibles and not the intangibles. So if you have medical bills, but you have to worry about your car note and pay your rent, car note, pay the rent first. Medicals, they can't repossess anything. You should pay them. I'm not telling you not to, but if you had to prioritize, who would go first? The tangibles, the touchables, the ones you can touch with your hand, your car, your roof, and anything that impacts those, such as the electricity and the water bill. Those come first if you had to choose. What about my cell phone? Cell phones are important, but they can't repossess anything. They can only cut off your communication. That's okay. See, I had to learn all of this in my demise. That's how you learn to survive. That's how you learn what's important. This is not taught. So people are panicking over things they shouldn't even be that big of a deal about. And the things that are a big deal, they're not even paying attention to. Everything is off balance, and correction has to happen. So here in the US, correction is taking place because things that should have been a priority weren't. And the things that were going to destroy us, nobody was even talking about or paying attention to. And anybody who even brought it up, you were labeled a conspiracy theorist. And now the world knows it wasn't a conspiracy at all. Do everybody understand what I'm telling you? Priorities. The US, our priorities was completely off balance. And we were heading to be a major third world country, something that would have shook the world upside down. Nobody even thought it was possible, and we were right there at the doorstep of it, and nobody said anything, and you were rebuked if you opened your mouth about it. It's crazy. And again, I'm not into politics, so I don't care whether it was Donald Trump. If Donald Trump was the person who was stupid enough to be this person, and then Biden came in and said, "No, we want to stop all this foolishness because we're about to collapse." If he would have said, "I don't," who cares? I don't care. I don't care about the person. I'm not into. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm a person who's trying to pay his bills and take care of his family. I don't take sides. Some of y'all lose your mind. You rather lose your family, cussing out your family members in exchange for politics. You see how your thought process backwards too? You make politics more important than the person you cussing out. You rather lose your family member over an argument that, or your significant other over some stupid argument over something that is not tangible. It's just politics. They're gonna do what they do. But you'll lose the person who you physically touch and hug over in stupid arguments. They don't get all that. We have to get our thoughts straight. Long story short, I'm out of time. I'm 6 minutes over. I do have to bounce. Sorry for talking your ear off. Thank you guys who paid attention and listened today. We can talk about charts next week. Again, literally, you can see right here, there was really nothing to talk about because I think that what the markets are waiting on is NVIDIA to come out with their market talk, or it may be something else. But either way it goes, guys, I'm telling you, the markets are just not normal right now. So don't worry about it. Which, by the way, this should have been dropping. Okay, watch this, and just for sake of argument, if we're just looking at that, you can see it's creating a. Here's what I've been teaching you guys, just for the sake of argument. See the yellow dots up here? That's a high. See, this is a lower high. So it's just been hanging here. And if we really want to take a bigger look at it, take this out the way, and it looks dead like a what? Head and shoulders pattern. But even with this head, see, poked up, created the high. Here's the shoulder, almost dead even, but nothing has moved. So if it was me personally, I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna sell this. This is a head and shoulders pattern on the 1 hour. That's normal technical analysis. Anybody and everybody should know that, but it hasn't been budging. What can you do about it? Absolutely nothing. Hang on for the ride. So calm down, relax, let the market do what it do. It will resume normalcy when the environment gets back to normal in who knows how much time, I don't know. But whenever all these shockers and these new executive orders that, golly, it's just like firing them off, and all this disruption is going on, we just simply have to wait. Is it going to last an entire year? Of course it won't last an entire year. This is why we don't worry about when we're having a bad week or a bad trading day. We just let the storm pass, and then after that, it'll normalize. It'll be all good. Okay? All right, guys, if this was helpful, yes, Derek said it. It's in the standstill or it's consolidating. It's just sitting there. It's literally in the standstill. And anytime that I see the market in the standstill, I automatically, because I've just been doing this for so long, I automatically know it's some big news event that maybe I've researched, I try to find the news, and hey, it's something I just don't know. Something's coming. And when it does hit, oh, you're gonna see some shaking going on one way or another. Promise you that. Anytime it stands still like this, it's always done the same thing. Whenever it stands still, whenever that news come out, it blasts off like crazy. So we just have to wait until then. All right, you guys. So anyway, have a blessed day. Manage your money well. I will say this last thing. The best thing to do, which by the way, I sent out a trade and it didn't work out. You know, it just didn't. I'm still waiting for another one, see if hopefully that will work out. But And if it don't, it is a big deal. I try to keep it minimal, 25 pips or whatever. What can I do? Nothing we can do about it. Just move on. So the best way to manage and navigate through this storm is to manage the money. So what I would suggest to you guys as a final word from your uncle, whatever lot size you have, cut it in half. Just cut it in half and let's weather this storm together, because clearly you see what's going on. Okay. All right, you guys, I got to go. Thank you very much for your time today. And hopefully we'll have more to talk about with the markets next week when they are in movement and not just consolidating. Okay, you guys. God bless you. Thank you so much for everything.